Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Welcome to the movement. I am your host, Lorianne, and I am so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us today, which is a very special day here at the movement because we've created a new series called Beyond the Ball Field. And this series actually was inspired by some of the MOOB mail that we received. I said from the very beginning when I created the movement that this is a community, not just for me, but for MOOBs everywhere, for mothers of only boys, for those who love us, and that we needed and wanted your input. So we received the MOOB mail pretty much a little bit every day, and they seem to come in groups of different themes. And one of them is talking about moms and sports and kids and sports. So we decided to create this series, Beyond the Ball Field, to give moms who might be looking for activities and ways to connect with their sons that don't involve sports, because some moms are just not sports moms. And on the contrary, some boys don't really love to play sports and are looking for other things to do. So today is show number 1 of many to come for the Beyond the Ball Field series. I wanted to actually start by reading one of the MOOB mail entries that inspired this series. And I was planning on actually just reading it. And then it's very funny, but I got several messages over the last week or so because we released 1 or 2 episodes without our MOOB mail song included. And I'm really glad to hear that so many of you love the music on the show. So we are going to insert the MOOB mail music so that I cannot be accused of neglecting it. And I will then read the MOOB mail that came in about the inspiration for Beyond the Ball Field.
Oh boy, it's that time. Ooh, mail's here. Your voice meets mine. From your heart straight to our trail. Let's open up that mail.
Okay. So the MOOB mail I was referring to is from a girl named Alexa. And to be honest, it was quite a long message, so I am not going to read it all, and I've condensed it somewhat. So Alexa, I apologize, but I think we got the gist. It said, I'm a MOOB who just doesn't love sports, and my sons live for baseball, basketball, and anything with a ball or a field. I try, I really do. I show up, I cheer, but I just can't get myself to love sports. So how do I connect with them when the thing they love most just isn't me? So, like I said, thank you, Alexa. We got several mail entries that were like that, and in response, we are doing Beyond the Ball Field. And of course, because of popular demand, we do have a graphic with accompanying music for Beyond the Ball Field.
Oh boy, let's make today fun. Beyond the ball field, just a mom and her sons. Try something new, come laugh and play. Making memories the MOOBment way.
Okay, let's move on now. I am very happy to be introducing our special guest, who also happens to be the COO, the Chief Operating Officer, of a wonderful company that we've discovered called Raddish Kids. Her name is Megan Zellner, and I will tell you that Megan has a degree from Indiana University and also a culinary arts degree from Le Cordon Bleu, which qualifies her as having both operational expertise and culinary education. And she is therefore perfect for her leadership at the company Raddish Kids. So welcome, Megan.
Thanks, Lorianne. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. Would you tell us a little bit about you personally and a little bit about Raddish Kids and how you became involved with the company?
Sure. Well, let me tell you about Raddish Kids first. The company was founded about 10 years ago by a former teacher. And at the time, she had noticed her kids in the classroom were really interested in cooking. They were watching TV shows. They were talking about recipes, but then many of them didn't really cook at home.
Hmm.
So at the time, she formed a mobile cooking school. We were doing after school classes and camps around Los Angeles. Later, that evolved into our culinary education company that we have today, where we send out subscription kits, cooking or baking boxes to kids across the country. So really our goal is to foster confidence in the kitchen and beyond with kids, creating engagement in the kitchen and connections with their families around the table.
Sounds
Me
wonderful.
personally,
Yeah, go ahead.
thank
You
you.
personally, tell me.
Personally, you got it right. I've been trained in both business and culinary arts. I lead our development team here at Raddish. So that's the team that makes all the recipes and the kits, everything that goes inside of those. And then the other side of my staff, we get those kits out to all the families across the country. So it's really rewarding. We see lots of great positive feedback from all of our families, and yeah.
Well, that sounds great. And as a matter of fact, very shortly, I'm going to um, have a young woman, a young MOOB, a young mom join our conversation because we have provided her with one of your wonderful kits. And we're going to get her honest feedback as she used the kit with her boys. And her name is Natasha, and she's going to be with us in a minute. But I just wanted to ask you a couple of other things about the activity in general.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, it's easy enough to go and find a recipe online and download it. So what makes Raddish Kids easier, better to use? What do you include with the kit that might really be of assistance to moms that they just can't get off of the internet like that?
Great question. So I like to say that we're the framework that you need in the kitchen so that you can empower your kid to cook along with you and not just be a directive experience, but really to have them engaged, building that trust and confidence together. So our recipes are always 12 steps for our cooking recipes. And each step is illustrated. So it's made just for kids. Even pre-readers can follow along and feel engaged in the process. I can't wait to hear about Natasha's experience with our illustrated recipes. Also, our recipes are laminated, so they're made for messes and spills in the kitchen. Um, that's part of the experience of making mistakes and cleaning them up together, and be engaged in that way as mom and son.
Readers.
We include aprons. There's a patch, so kind of like a iron-on patch for your apron after you finished up the kit, so an accomplishment patch. There are cooking tools that come inside of our kits so that your kids kind of get that toy, that something physical inside. And then finally, one of my favorite parts of our kit are the table talk. Not sure if Natasha, you had a chance to do that with your sons, but not only do we want to cook a meal or bake a good, but we want to get that family around the table talking. And our table talk cards, you get 4 in each kit. Over time, you build a nice deck of conversation starters, and they could be silly questions. They might be serious questions, but I think that parents are always surprised about the conversation that happens there too.
And Meg, you really hit the nail on the head here because we are talking about connections and making connections with our kids. I just want to back up for 1 minute and just ask you, you mentioned pre-readers. What would the age group or the age range be for these kits?
That's a really good question. If you go to our website, you'll actually see that the age that we recommend is 4 to 14 plus, which really feels like almost everything, right? But that's because our kids are meant to be, stepped up with parents. So pre-readers can jump into these kits with their parents, a lot of help from the parent, right? But together, you guys can cook as early as the age of 4. As they get older, because the recipes are illustrated and because they're step by step and that we're not trying to cram too much into each recipe, kids can take these kits and do them on their own and really produce that, what we like to call, I made this moment in the kitchen, beaming with pride, serving their family, baking something for the neighbor. And eventually those skills or those experiences in childhood, our hope is that it ends up, forming their adulthood as well.
So I'm going to chime in here about that. Listeners, my listeners know that I have 3 sons and they are grown at this point. And they actually have children. 2 of the 3 have children of their own. I personally love to cook, not so much bake, but I do love to cook. And I always made a point of cooking with my boys as they were growing up. I wish we had Raddish Kids back then because it was not as easy. And it took a lot of time. Part of my education is teaching as well. And so that, I basically created my own lesson plans and it took a lot of time. And I didn't have as many fun things and conversation starters and things like that, which definitely come in handy. But I will tell you, fast forward, all three of my boys, they are young men, married now, adore cooking in the kitchen. They make wonderful meals. They're creative in the kitchen. And to this day, it is something that they share with me. And they will call me and ask me about a recipe or ask me, Mom, why didn't this come out right? Or how did we do this? Or remember the time we made XYZ? Or when there are holidays coming up, wanting to create holidays because food really relates to memories and traditions and a lot of things. So I'm the first to say that, first of all, I want our listeners to know I don't want this to come off as an infomercial. I'm really, really careful about, especially with this Beyond the Ball Field, which is my little baby here, who we select. And in no means was I coerced to choose you guys, but I think that this is an unbelievable company. And I think that MOOBs out there should really take note about activities beyond the sports field and cooking and Raddish Kids in particular. So you guys do a great
That's
job.
so special. Thank you, Lorianne.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really inspiring to hear that you cooked with your boys as children. But I will say some moms are intimidated, right? Like getting in the kitchen with your kids where there's knives and there's heat and there's water and messes. And a lot of people or a lot of women, even in my generation, didn't cook growing up, right? So we've almost got that like missing generation. And so that's what we're here to support is you guys can learn together. You can be like Lorianne and her sons building traditions, or you can be learning together. So, we're here to help.
Absolutely. I find that the generation now, there are so many ways to not have to partake in the kitchen. You have Instacart. You have so many things that, you can just get food delivery by blinking your eyes, basically. We didn't have that back then. So,
Don't get me wrong. I do my DoorDash every so often.
Yeah, we all do. But all the more
that's
reason.
the thing, building your own traditions. You don't have to cook every single night with your sons. It could be once a night on Sundays, and that could be your tradition that you make in your family. Or, just even those little moments like helping to make breakfast and just involving them in that space in some of your domain. If you're typically making their breakfast, maybe they can help. And that just builds a confidence and trust between you and your children. And then that grows throughout, their childhood.
Absolutely, that does. I do have a few other questions for you, but before we go ahead with those, I would like to bring in and introduce Natasha. Natasha is here with us live in the studio, and I'm going to ask her to introduce herself and tell you about her incredibly beautiful family and her experience with Raddish Kids. So welcome, Natasha.
Hi, Lori. Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you, Megan. Yes, I am also a mom of only boys. I have 3 boys who are, really, to your point, we do have a busy schedule and a lot of sports activities and things like that. So for our family, we don't have as much time to do an activity altogether that that I can be as much of a part of. We had a great experience with Raddish Kids. I think anytime anything arrives as a kit, it kind of streamlines the pop process. I think kids love getting it in the mail, and that's something that they can look forward to doing. And it took a lot for me of the guesswork out of it. So I'm not proud to admit this, but oftentimes when we bake, it is out of a pre-made bag where you add butter and you add eggs and you end up with cookies. And that's been what they've experienced. So yeah, the process was great. We had an ingredient list. The guesswork was taken out of it. We knew that it would be kid friendly. We knew that it would come out great. And I took my middle son with me. We did, a grocery shopping run for all of the ingredients, which was part of the process. And we came home together and the 3 of us did it. And my oldest son kind of like took the lead, as the oldest children tend to do, and was going through each of the steps, which were very kid friendly. And I will say I have a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So we did kind of cover a lot of different ages, and each of them had a great experience. I had chosen baking because I do think I have a couple of picky eaters, and I thought that would be exciting for them. Having said that, I think cooking would be kind of a cool thing to do because that's something they can take with them, later on in life and be like Lori had mentioned, good in the kitchen. I know personally that one of your sons is particularly a great cook, and I think that's just a great thing to have. But yeah, we did it was very streamlined. It was easy to follow the steps, and it came out delicious. They loved it.
Was it fun, Natasha? Did they have a good time?
They had a great time. They really did. And it was very manageable. Like, I think oftentimes baking can be overwhelming with kids as far as you print out a recipe. The recipe itself gets to be a mess. The ingredients are everywhere. You forget that you didn't have something you needed. So this made it a lot much more simple, and we can actually keep the recipe card and make it in the future again. And then we did take those cards, and we kind of, as they were eating their dessert, discussed some of the, had a conversation about some of the questions, and it was really a fun process. I had sent Lori some pictures, and overall, we really enjoyed it. And like I said, having something come in the mail, and then you can do it when it is convenient for you was a kind of an easier, much more approachable way to bake in the kitchen with your 3 boys or however many children.
Actually, I wanted to ask both of you because I have my own thoughts on this. Besides the actual act of cooking, what do you think boys in particular, but kids are learning from the experience? Because I know there's math involved, there's measuring involved. So, and Megan mentioned confidence, and I think that that's a lot of it, the conversation. What do you hope, Megan, for kids, moms, and sons to take educationally from the experience?
Yes, educationally, kids are mixing math, simmering science, right? They're discovering new cultures through new foods. And it's also just motor skills, learning to measure and level. And then, of course, just enjoying the result together.
What do you think, Natasha?
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of things that we assume the kids know. They haven't had experience with measuring a cup or measuring with a tablespoon versus a teaspoon. So it's all, a process and learning, but it's nice to do together. And you don't always set that time aside because everybody does have very busy schedules. And so having something like this that brings you together and is in relatively organized activity to something that could be very disorganized and chaotic, it made me personally take a step back a little bit and let them have a little more freedom in the kitchen than I normally would, because everything was really right out in front of them, and it was foolproof.
And it's interesting, we talk about the sports. A lot of boys, not all, but a lot of boys are active with sports. We're running from soccer to baseball to whatever it is. And sometimes we don't really step outside that box and expose them to other things because we're so busy and they're wrapped up in the sports. Whether or not the moms are sports minded or not, it's really a nice thing to just diversify a little bit and do something different with them.
I mean, my boys have sports every day, all 3 of them. And, my husband loves it, and it's an experience they have together. I do go to the tournaments. I do all the things because that is important to them. But I think something a little bit different and something that the boys can do with their moms or, even grandparents. I think it would be a great gift to give grandparents to do with their kids, is just a little different and special. And so we really enjoyed the experience, and I could see making it more of like a tradition, knowing that it would be coming once a month. And I know the kids would look forward to that because you say you're going to do something and then everything gets in the way. So if it's set and just kind of automatic, you find the time on a Friday afternoon or a Sunday morning, and you do those things that
Right.
you
And
normally
sometimes you get a
wouldn't.
rainy day.
Yeah.
Even here in sunny Florida, we get rainy
Yeah.
days, monsoon sometimes. And it's really nice to have that activity
Yeah.
that you can just pull out and work on. So,
And I think a lot of times you'll print out a recipe and it doesn't really come to fruition the way that you had anticipated, or it's a bit more complicated than the kids have the patience for. So this is something that's super, approachable and age appropriate. And I am not saying this for any other reason other than this was our experience. And
we should make it very clear that Natasha was not paid to say anything.
in no way.
She was not.
No, I had the kids, record at the end. Like I said, I had them rate it all, and my little one rated it 1,000,000 stars out of 5, and then it was 10 stars, and they give thumbs up, and it was like they really enjoyed it. And then my husband had come home, and he tried it too, so it was a fun thing. I think they would really want to do more of that.
That's great. That's great. And as Natasha said, what a wonderful gift to give either grandchildren, children, families, birthday gifts. You're really giving the gift of connection and experience, between a parent and a child. And what could be better?
Yeah. I think things have lost value. People don't need more toy. Like, you don't need all the gifts that are material items. So experiences have become something that everybody has realized is more valuable. And this is a perfect example of that. I think this would be a great gift to give somebody.
Well, our listeners are a little in luck because thanks to Megan and Raddish Kids, we do have a discount with code MOOB. All of our listeners can go on to their website. Megan, is it raddishkids.com?
You got it.
Okay. Yep. And with a 6 or a 12-month subscription, our listeners will be getting 1 month free, which is a very nice, generous offer. And so we hope you'll go out and gift these to, people you know and love in your life. And don't forget yourselves, because your children, whether it be children or grandchildren, as Natasha says, will really benefit from this. So I believe that.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thanks for, allowing me to have the experience. That was fun.
Absolutely. And more of it will be coming your way, because we are going to be sending you subscriptions to cooking and baking to continue playing with your kids.
Oh, I love that. My kids will be thrilled. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I'm excited.
Anything else, Megan, that you just wanted to let us know about, maybe other themes or other kits? You mentioned the cultural side of it. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about that.
Three clubs at Raddish. So we have our cooking club, our baking club, and our global eats club. Cooking is a mix of everything. You'll get a dessert typically in each kit, a main dish, a side, or a breakfast. The global eats features a new country every month. And then our baking club features 2 recipes, one that we call the quick bake, and then the other, which is an 18-stepper star bake. So that's typically the baking club is for a little bit older kids that really want to show off their skills in baking. So we've got the 3 clubs, Gloria.
Well, you know what? I'm thinking also, as you're talking, you were saying different ages, and you really can take this to so many different levels. Older kids can create a little restaurant kind of thing, and with the younger siblings can create these recipes and serve them, make a menu. You can really go anywhere with this and just expand the creativity.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I forgot to mention that each kit is thematic of the cooking club. So you're right. It might be a restaurant, build your own restaurant that month, or it might be our edible engineering kit, where we kind of focus on the science of cooking together, or it could be seasonal. So the Halloween kit or holiday time. Each month is different. And so that's something too that kind of keeps it exciting.
It's great. Well, I personally want to thank both of you. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Natasha, for joining us. I really am so excited about Beyond the Ball Field in general. We'll be featuring lots of different activities, cooking being one of them. And I really want to strongly advise moms out there, find ways to connect with your sons that may be off of the ball field, off of the courts, and expose them to something you love. Because I subscribe by a do as I do type of kind of thing. And I think that you're inspiring them to find something that they love and show them something that you love, whether that be cooking or anything else, giving them that confidence that they need going forward. Thank you again for listening today, everybody. I am really proud of this series, and I hope you'll stick with us. Listeners that are interested in doing something with your sons, all your kids, that have nothing to do with sports and everything to do with conversation and building communication, vocabulary skills, and everything in between. Stay here with us at the MOOBment because we have a lot of exciting things to bring to you going forward in the future. I wanted to remind everybody that with code MOOB, M-O-O-B, the Raddish Kids company will provide 1 free month with every 6-month or 12-month subscription, whether it be cooking, baking, or cultural themed kits. I really want to recommend that you try all 3. You can purchase them individually as well. And again, this is not an infomercial, and I just really, truly am very selective and believe a lot in this product. So consider it for gifts, birthdays, holidays, whatever it might be. I also want to remind you all to follow the MOOBment on Instagram, follow the MOOBment on Facebook. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And I would really appreciate it if you'd give us a 5-star review when you do listen, because it goes a long way in the podcast community for us. Also, we have our website, www.themoobment.com. And on our website, you'll find a little bit more information about us. We are going to add a section shortly that will include information about and photographs and other things about the Beyond the Ball Field series. So I hope you'll visit the website where you can also listen to the podcast directly. I guess that's about all for today. Thank you again for supporting the MOOBment. And please remember, as I always tell you at the end of every show, hug your boys, follow your instincts, and remember that where all boy moms and those who love us belong is right here.